All right, day 244, coffee with Kenny. Look at that steam coming off there. Probably going to regret this. You know, it's funny, when I was a young cop all those years ago, I could drink coffee at 4 a.m. in the morning when I was getting off and go home and go to bed. We'll see what it does to me now, later in life. Probably not a good idea. Anyway, day 244, coffee with Kenny. And I'm going to call this HOGS Week in Review. I want to start sharing a little more of what really goes on behind the scenes. And, you know, we get so much great feedback and so many great emails, and it's just awesome, right? And then I'm really digging this coffee with Kenny, and I try to do a video every day that's related to a question. And, you know, they're piling up a little bit right at the moment. So I'm going to hit a few different things because I'm you know, doing my best to stay a good communicator, right? And if I'm not careful, sometimes these things slip away from me, right? Because the emails keep coming in. So I want to share some cool stuff with you about this week. Number one, it was a crazy week if you've been watching these videos. With all the internet problems we had, and, you know, electronics can always be a pain, and dentist appointments and everything going on with my daughter and trying to get her license should be next week. Heather painted the other two panels on Friday. We've got more. We've set up some lighting trusses, which is helping us get the new studio even more organized, right? Because right now we still have a lot of cords on the floor and things. And we were plug and play at the old airport. But of course, we moved to a new location, right? So we've been making do all summer, and we still, you know, putting out content and doing the daily video. But knowing that we want to really hit some production in the fall, you know, it's been kind of a big deal to start getting a new studio ready, right? And we got a bunch of stuff we're doing, and a lot of stuff's come in, and you haven't seen any of it because I want to wait just a little bit longer before I show it all to you. But we've really got some neat stuff going on. And the studio, you know, what we had before was a cool studio, but it was so tiny, and we were so limited to what we can do. So this week, Monday and Tuesday, we got more stuff coming in. To this studio, we'll have this whole truss system around it, and we can have lights and monitors and hang everything and keep everything nice and neat and have room to move. It's going to be the best we've ever had. And we got confirmation on the fiber internet that I mentioned this past week or so in a video. It's a done deal. He said 45 days. We're hoping it's going to be sooner. With this fiber, we are going to have the fastest internet we've ever freaking had. We had great internet before at the old hangar, but what we're going to have is going to just blow that away. It's going to be freaking amazing. And what that means about ground school that I'm excited about is going back to doing a lot of live stuff. We haven't done any live stuff. I've tried a few live Coffee with Kenny's this past winter when I started doing this, but once we moved to the hangar over here, that internet just sucks. And my internet at home, you can barely pull off a live video. Sometimes you can, but then you get the audio, it's a little bit off, and it gets that cracky, stupid sound in there. And I can't stand that audio when the audio's just, you know, sound like you're in a tube or whatever. So we're super excited about everything that's going to be transpiring in the next week. Got my daughter, you know, she'll get her license Wednesday. Then I'll be back in the, you know, full days where I can go to the airport and be there all day and not leave and come back and leave and come back. And with putting the new studio together and with the new internet, you know, being so much faster, and the Coffee with Kenny thing, I've mentioned this in the past in a lot of these videos, is doing this now 244 days in a row. The speed that I've been able to produce content is really good. It's good for me in my experience. Even though I've been making videos and editing videos for 10 flipping years, this daily video thing, coming up with an idea every day, doing something different every day, moving to a different location every day, trying different things, has just helped me increase my speed. It's helped me become a better video guy, a better editor. And I'm really just excited about how, man, the next couple of weeks we get this thing all plugged in. We'll call it plug and play at this new hangar. Man, we're going to be able to start redoing some of these older videos we've been wanting to do for a long time. And it's exciting to me when I know that I can, you know, a lot of these presentations, we can just pull up the old presentation, spruce up the actual display, and just shoot some new stuff and replace a lot of this older content. That the other day I was checking out the weather. There's the big one. I'm going to start working on weather, I promise you. I realize that some of those weather videos were made in 2012, right? So I know those things need updated. I mean, I was brand new to this using super cheap equipment. And the weather section is really boring. I know that. We all know that. And I even put that disclaimer at the beginning of the weather section. Say, look, this is kind of the best we got, but, you know, it gets a little dry. But people still hammer me on that one, right? Man, your weather section is boring. My first idea, the weather that we have that Taz Chrisman did in the instrument course is freaking phenomenal weather. And it really doesn't, even though it's called instrument weather, it's really just basic weather. It doesn't, whether you're flying VFR or IFR, weather is weather, and reading reports is reading reports. So I'm planning on moving over that stuff this next week, getting Taz's videos from the instrument course, the weather, and move them right into the private pilot. And trust me, you're going to like the weather that Taz did for the instrument course. You're going to freaking love it. And the only thing that'll throw you off is when he says, hey, welcome to instrument weather. It's basic weather. So those of you that see that are members, know that that's going to be in there, and don't go, oh my God, it says instrument. Doesn't matter. He goes over thunderstorms and reading reports and all the stuff that you got to know, even as a private pilot. So that's freaking exciting. Had this question from a guy, young man, 42, young to me, right? He said, my name is Walter, currently a CDL truck driver, and he wants to know if he can listen to our course and learn the material with just audio. Now, I want to say to him, and I'll send him an email and tell him, hey, at 6 minutes in, you can get your answer to this. But when you're driving a truck, I'd really go against doing a lot of studying, okay? Now, if you wanted to listen to the audio in our course, and you had it set up to where it's just going to start playing through the lessons because it'll auto replay the next video or auto play the next video. As long as it's hands-free and you were just listening to audio, okay, you can listen to the radio, right? But as long as you're not getting distracted in the truck, I'd never want you to have anything bad happen. But yes, you also need the visual cues. So you could listen to the audio part, but you're going to have those times when you can sit down and focus and be able to watch and learn visually as well. Because a lot of these concepts, we are using video, and we're using diagrams or charts or different things that you really need to be able to see the visual part in order to learn. So a lot of you know Johan, one of our super success stories, watched our videos while in a tractor. But tractor's a little different, right? If you're driving straight for, a mile to the other end of the field or whatever. Johan did it, but he had an iPad mounted right there where he could be looking out the window of the tractor. And he did use our course that way. But anyway, the best way for you is going to be to really focus on studying when you can sit down and do it. Not saying you can't listen to some while you're driving, but I'd be very careful. Kevin Simpson sent us some pictures, or 2 videos and a picture of his solo, which we don't get a lot of that, but that's cool. And I'll roll that video this week. He sent it to me. He's soloing in an R44, his takeoff and landing, and then there's a picture of him in the aircraft. We'll share that this week. That's really cool. Sam Daughtry, who some of you know, he's been with us in the past in a couple of videos. He's the one that has the instructor that's like 72 years old. We did a video on that. Sam flies for the airlines, is 61 years old, and just got his CFI. We'll share that picture with you this week and share what Sam had to say. But that's really cool. It's someone you've seen in our videos who's been here to visit with us. And he actually took me out flying the Bell 47. He sent me an email, all excited. 61 years old, got his helicopter CFI. That's freaking awesome. We'll share some more of that. Steven, here's one I mentioned in a video recently, just this past week or so. I did a video on a guy said, should I do the double I or not? Couldn't be more than a couple weeks old, and I told him to go for it. He emailed me, and I'll share more of that this week. But he's all excited and said, I went for it, I did it, and I knocked it out, and I'm done, and he's all excited. So there you go. Somebody asked me my opinion in the email. I said, do it, man. If I was you, I'd freaking get that thing. He emailed me all excited. He's got already, within a couple weeks, has the double I. So taking that advice and just going after it and getting out there and getting it done versus waiting, and then a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, he'd need it and go, man, I wish I'd have done it back in the day. So congratulations to Steven. He's really excited. I can see that. So we'll share more on that this week. So that's kind of some of the stuff I wanted to throw in there, and I think I'll wrap it up there because, bam, I'm already into 10 minutes. So I just wanted to share that it has been a big week, and we're going to start sharing some of these things so you know actually what goes on. One more thing I want to mention, just answered a thing on YouTube tonight about auto rotations. And one of our really popular videos that's just free on YouTube is top 10 auto rotation tips. And I made that video several years ago. It gets a lot of views. And we get a lot of feedback. People go, well, this ain't real world, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? When you're training for auto rotations, you have to train to a standard. And that's why that video is called Top 10 Training Tips. That video is not practicing for a real life emergency, right? I mean, in essence, you are when you're learning the basics of an auto rotation. But what people don't understand is they kind of sometimes they attack that video and say, well, that's not real world. Well, my rebuttal is, you're right. But we must train to a standard by the PTS that will soon become the ACS. Then I also as an instructor, take students out, and before they get their private, I go do more real world, like, hey, we're flying cross country at 90 knots or something. I go out and do that stuff with a student. So yes, we need to train as helicopter pilots for what happens when we're out there just cruising along and an engine cuts out on us, quits, whatever. I've always done that in 20 years of teaching. But there's training to a standard, and there's tips involved in that. Then there is training for real life. So I just want to throw that in there just because I have to tell that story all the time. It's like, people, there's a thing called training, and there's a thing called real world, right? So thanks for tuning in. Can you believe it's day 244? Freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe to the channel. Click the bell when you do. If you want to check out our courses, go down below at helicopterground.com. You can check out all of them. And we're planning on a big week. And we're going to start cranking out some new videos. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be plug and play. Our speed's going to be better all the way around. A more productive, better studio with more room to move. The fastest internet we've ever had is coming, which means live stuff, and I'm excited about that because a lot of you know that's been with us for a while know that we used to do a lot of live events. And I like doing stuff live. I have fun doing it because it's different than like just recording a video right now. You know, this I know I could edit if I had to, right? But when you're live, man. You got one shot and you got to do it and you got to go. So the live stuff has a different element to it. So I'm excited to start doing live events from our brand new studio. Man, the pictures on the HOGS wall are filling up and it looks so freaking good. We got those two panels put together the other night late, and the next day Heather painted them and we kind of put them in place, and it just made that wall even bigger. So with our new trusses, we get everything arranged to where it works, get the trusses set up and the lights and everything. Excuse me, it's going to be freaking badass. So even though I got a cold, hopefully I'm on the downhill slide on this part of it. So we will see you tomorrow on day 245. Go down below, check out helicopterground.com. If you're not a member yet and you want to learn more about our ground school, you can check all of our courses down below. If you're new to the videos, I am Kenny Keller, creator of Helicopter Online Ground School. Approaching 8 years online, hundreds of excited members all over the world, but mainly the U.S., but other countries too. A lot of people use our training before coming over to train in the U.S. It's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So keep tuning in if you want to be informed of the latest, what's going on with Helicopter Online Ground School. Hear questions from members, questions from non-members. I'll answer questions to anybody. You don't have to be a member. I'll get your questions knocked out as soon as possible, whether you're a member or not. I don't just restrict it to members. You can ask a question here on YouTube, or you can ask it anywhere inside the site. I'll do my best to get back to you. So y'all have a good night. We'll see you in day 245.